The MVU, started by Hobo525, is one of my favorite stop-motion universes as a whole. And I thought today, why don't we re-rank them, just like how I ranked All That Jazz's stop-motions. But I will say I've excluded the Independence Day special and Loki Episode 1, as those are just... Loki is just part of a series that's not finished yet, and the Independence Day is just a special thing, so I don't count it. So with that out of the way, let's rank the MVU from its worst to best, and give my thoughts on these epic stop-motions. Hobo's third endeavor into the MVU, I believe, I could be wrong, is AntMan and Captain America. This is not bad, and some of the other ones have lesser quality, but it's just so short, and it's not that much of a standout as the other ones that are lower in quality. This is why it's the lowest one. I do like the shrinking stuff, though, and I think the idea of Captain America accidentally being shrunken and having to work around that was fun. But other than that, this is just really short. There's nothing about it that really interests me other than that. And there are some other things that at least have more enjoyment for me out of it. Next up, we have the MVU's first entry. And this is just okay. Like, it's not amazing, but it's not awful. The main problems with this whole stop motion with Avengers Origins is that we are introduced to the Avengers way too early. We have no, introduction to these characters. And we're just automatically supposed to be like, oh yeah, we know Bruce Banner and Tony Stark hang out, or whatever. And it's just not really interesting. Also, I don't like the idea of introducing Thanos this early into the Marvel Visual Universe, if that is what he's going with. I just don't like that idea. It's way too early for that, in my opinion, to do that on your first project and have Thanos be this menacing guy already. I think he should have saved that for a little bit. I think he should have saved an Avengers project and done a few more shorts before this of just characters, before they did this. But it's not awful. I do think this is pretty good for a first stop motion and is at least fun. There's a lot of points where, the shading gets really bad, so he should have had a lamp during filming this, but, this is his first project, so I'll give him that. And there's just a lot of things wrong with it, but it's still really enjoyable to watch. It was enjoyable for me to watch at first, but, there's other things better on the list I want to talk to. So, yeah, this is 6. Iron Man and War Machine is a really interesting, entry for me. As this really doesn't feel like an Iron Man project, but it's not really awful. I will say that he has definitely improved since Avengers Origins in this. And it's not awful, but my main problems is Living Laser is just a really basic backstory. Oh, he's forced to get the cure by helping Obadiah Stane. It's not very fun for a character like Living Laser, who you can do a lot of cool shit with. He's literally a fucking laser. And you give him that backstory, it just really feels unoriginal and unfun. There's also a random Wolverine cameo that I felt like was really shoved in just so Tony could go fucking drink. And then there's this anxiety attack thing that happens, and it's not really paid off at all. It's mentioned 3 times, and then it's never brought up again at the end, which is really annoying to me. I don't like people bringing up plot lines and just completely forgetting about it. I suffer with it too, and it's just something that isn't really enjoyable at all for me, based on that. I will say, I really like the green screen shots of Iron Man flying through the sky, and the editing of Tony's head and seeing all the things. I also just really like seeing all this fun actions with, them fighting using Iron Man and War Machine, which is just great. I like it that way. There's also a scene where, he helps out Hawkeye and Mockingbird, and it really shows off Tony's, charisma and how fucking, snarky he is. And it's perfect. I like that. But this still has a lot of, bad problems with it, its villain and just bad plot lines that it brings up that never finishes. But other than that, this is not an awful project at all. Though this next one has a lot of issues, and it's still one of his best ones. Oh god, it's time for Rise of Shang-Chi. This came out before Shang-Chi was even announced, I think, or even then it's just not a popular character then. And holy shit, this thing has so many issues, but it's one of his best work. This is a great improvement from the last few entries, but it's fucking Shang-Chi. And that's not the character. It's not the character's fault or anything like that. It's just the way Hobo portrays this character is not very good. He has this really bad Asian accent that it just isn't there, man. It's not there. And it's just really forced. I don't like the idea of, this guy killed my father, so I gotta go avenge her. And then they fight, and then, oh my god, it's a lie. I gotta betray the person who sent me to kill them. Oh god. It's really basic. But the problem is, this is actually good, because the combat, while not real or feel realistic, it's fine. It's okay. It's not awful, it's not bad, but it's just okay. There's not much to it, and it's way better than some of his other combat. But in the next entry, well, not on this, but like in the next entry of the MVU, it's so good. The combat is amazing, which shocks me, because this is just, man, this is not it. It's not that great, man. I could keep saying that all over again, but it's really, really not. It's a basic plot line, but it's better than his other work in the sense that I guess it's somewhat enjoyable to watch, and it's just better than some of his other work that represents, like, yeah, it doesn't represent the character very well or kung fu movies at all, but at least its quality is better than some of the other ones. Hulk vs. Abomination is a great entry in this Marvel visual universe. A great, great, great project and entry. This is the final episode, or not episode, just entry of Act 1, and it's okay. It's really good, and I like it. I like it a lot. It feels like a Hulk movie, and it actually feels like, something you would see in the MCU in the sense of a Hulk film, with him trying to, like, calm down his anger with the Hulk, and fighting a new villain who's trying to kill, him, and all this other stuff. It feels good. I don't like Abomination's backstory in this movie, that, he also wants to avenge someone who he lost because Hulk killed him. That's still really basic and isn't really good. I don't like that. But there's also still cool scenes and cool characters with Bruce himself, Betty, and even General Ross to some extent was okay. And, we have the Marjorie and the grandpa thing, which actually feels really emotional, because, like, while we should have gotten more with them, it actually feels like they were good characters who didn't deserve to die. And, we have the Iron Fist scene with him and trying to, master the chakras and all this stuff. It's great. I love that shit. That feels like a Hulk film. That feels like Bruce trying to calm down his anger. But he can't, because no matter what, General Ross will come back and just ruin his life forever and ever because of this thing he can't control. But then you have the action scene with Hulk and Abomination, which is really fun, and it feels collateral and powerful. I wish there was more, like, throwing objects and stuff, but, I mean, for a stop motion, this is actually really good and feels really impactful with every punch. What can I say, man? This is a in-depth look. The story is good, and it's written by Gamer Lajaya and Hobo, meaning it was a co-project, and it's just really good. And while the next two ones are mostly more enjoyable for me, I will say this, out of all of them, is the best quality-wise, if you really want to ask, like, objectively. But these next two, I really like more than this, and that's why it's number 3. But yeah, HV is a really good thing. Please go watch it. It's lovely. I love it. Captain America and Falcon is a great entry in this MVU. We have really fun action scenes with Mockingbird taking down an opponent. You have Nick Fury shooting down a bunch of Hydra soldiers. And you have Captain America and Falcon, flying around the place and fighting. And it's just really fun. I love this project. It's so well made. You can really tell Hobo put so much effort into making this. And I think he's the only one who really, he wrote this by himself, and it actually feels really good. My one problem, or just some of them, is that Wilson Fisk has a son in this film, and he's, the main villain, and it's just really bad. For a character like Kingpin, I don't get why his son would be working with Hydra and shit. I don't know. I feel like that's a way, way bad use of, Wilson Fisk in the Kingpin, as that's mainly a Daredevil guy, not a Captain America person. But there's also the fact that there's the Winter Soldier thing, and in which, what it's just rushed. We have had no, interactions with him hanging out with Captain America before this, as Bucky, back in the war. We just see him hang out and beat soldiers with Cap once, and then they die. And it's not very, enjoyable. It doesn't feel impactful when he, becomes Winter Soldier or whatnot, or he runs away at the end. And that's the problem. You need to make your characters feel relatable in that sense. But this is a really good entry into a really lovable, thing. I love this. Now, the next one is way more enjoyable for me, but I will say these last two entries are way better than it objectively. But this next one is my favorite, and I'll go over it now. Wolverine Manhunt is amazing as an X-Men fan. I love this project. You can really tell the effort Hobo put into this character with a really good Wolverine backstory. Now, while it doesn't really reflect the comics of, he's in this OG X-Men team and, Magneto turns evil, I still really like the idea. I don't like the idea of Magneto being a part of the X-Men, but that's its own thing, and that's only one flaw I have. But this is still really fun. You have really cool action scenes with, this cliff jump, and then there's a train fight later on with Sabretooth, and it's really fucking amazing. I love it. I also really love, Logan having this ideal that, the X-Men didn't work and that people will still hate them no matter what, and it really reflects how that's really how, racism and, homophobia and stuff like that really works in real life. No matter what you do, no matter how respectful you can be or save, people will still hate you, and I love it. That is just a really, really realistic view on the world compared to other people who hope for the best no matter what. And Logan is really good in this film. My one problem is that his voice actor is not very good. It's just really hard to hear him sometimes, and then it just sounds like a little kid trying to be like, "Oh, Bob, I'm evil, or I'm Wolverine." It doesn't really feel like a actually good voice actor for the character, but I still really love the action. I love the blood effects, but Wolverine, when he's actually fucking slashing at people, you feel the blood and see the impact of it. I love that shit. This is fun. I really like the characterization of Colossus and how, he is open and likes Wolverine, and, the original X-Men miss people like Wolverine and thought he was dead, and it's just, I love it. These characters are amazing, and that's why it makes it so enjoyable for me. I really like this project. Main flaws, like I said, voice actors sometimes suck, and mainly Wolverine's, and sometimes, Wolverine and Magneto. I like Wolverine being on the X-Men, but not Magneto. I don't think that works right now, at least in the MVU. But other than that, this is still really enjoyable for me. Objectively, this quality-wise is not as good as the last two, but I still really love this project. And if you hate it, you have no fucking taste. This is a great fucking project, and it is my favorite. So yeah, that concludes this ranking. So yeah, that concludes the ranking of the MVU. The original playlist should be in the description if you want to go watch it. Please go sub to Hobo, and please go watch all of this. Just please, it's so good. I love it. I love this universe. It feels amazing, and I love seeing the development of these characters. But other than that, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.